was a time not so very long ago when a great utopian experiment was made. The idea wasn't new, it had been tried before. To create a self-sustaining community of like-minded people who'd live and work together for the common good. The difference here was the amazing degree of success the organizers of this paradise achieved in fulfilling their dream. They came from all over Europe, artists, scientists, craftsmen and entertainers, gathered together in a unique community designed to provide for its citizens' every need. There were gardens to nourish the body, and there were lectures and concerts to nourish the mind and soul. Poetry and theatre were a regular part of day-to-day life, and sports were practiced with a particular passion. Children were looked after and cherished, freeing their parents to contribute their part to this remarkable experiment in living. And for 2 years in the mid-20th century, this extraordinary collection of people created what was perhaps the most culturally active small town in Europe. The town was called Theresienstadt, the experiment in living, a grotesque and shameful lie. Theresienstadt was a concentration camp. These images were a cynical hoax created by the Nazi propaganda machine to convince an increasingly suspicious world that the millions of Jews disappearing from all over Europe were being well treated by their captors after being transported to the East. The deception was hugely successful. So much so that the Nazis decided to make a film, living proof that Hitler's concentration camps were places of culture and humanity. But who could convincingly tell such a colossal lie? The man the Nazis chose to direct their film was one of the most famous actors and directors in pre-war Germany. A Jew. His name was Kurt Gerron. In the 20s, a city with nothing to lose. Where Paris was naughty, Berlin was decadent. Berliners challenged convention. They flouted bourgeois values, reveling in an artistic and moral freedom unmatched elsewhere in Europe. Eager to forget the past and forge a brighter future, Berliners were ready to try anything. In the arts and sciences, in music and theatre, in life itself. Drawn into the heady world of the new Berlin was a decorated war hero who'd returned from the front determined to be a doctor. But the young Kurt Gerron hadn't reckoned on the lure of the city.
Jeder schimpft bald auf Berlin, alle aber loben Wien. Überall steht ein Tenor und singt Wiener Lieder.
As a regular at the Puka nightclub, Gerron watched dozens of aspiring performers pay their 5-mark fee for a chance to try out on stage. Finally,
did on stage. That kind of supporting actor who is a draw, because he's always welcome and he's always keeps the faith with the audience.
It was 1921 when Gerron got his first big break. Trude Hesterberg was presenting her daring and controversial review, The Wild Stage. She spotted Gerron at the Kuka and offered him a leading role. In Hesterberg's cast, Gerron rubbed shoulders with some of the most talented writers and performers of his day, including the ambitious young playwright Bertolt Brecht. But the song that stole the show was Die Dressur, Gerron's biting parody of the fledgling Nazi movement.
Der Zirkus herrscht, Kulturen gehen zugrunde. Die Bestie schleicht, der Gott zu neuem Sprung. In der Manege, große Werdenrunde, lebendig bis zur nächsten Vorstellung.
But it wasn't politics that interested Kurt Gerron. He was too busy building a career. One of the biggest stars of the Berlin stage was Gerron's leading lady, the late Camilla Spira.
War einer von denen, die genug.
He could never get enough theater. He'd lie on the table at the end of the rehearsals because he couldn't stand anymore. It was midnight, but he didn't care. He was obsessed with theater and he loved it.
Liebte das.
It wasn't long before his irreverent patter and his unique singing style got him noticed by the movies. Leading man, but his rotund form and his enormous versatility meant that he was in constant demand. Fat cats, rogues and rascals became Kurt Gerron's stock in trade. This doctor-turned-actor became a household name.
Gerron was not just another actor, he was a much loved performer to begin with. Audiences loved Kurt Gerron, and over the years he was a member of the family.
With critical success came a great deal of affluence. He lived here, in a spacious apartment on one of the most exclusive streets in Berlin. And during the hot summer months, like everybody who was anybody, he got out of town. Gerron took an imposing mansion on the Stolpernsee, a fashionable lake where well-heeled city folk went to escape the heat. Gerron's hospitality was legendary. His lakeside retreat became a weekend haunt for his bohemian friends. At the water's edge, stars of the movies and theatre mingled with his wife, his parents, and his socially prominent neighbors. All drawn to a man whose career was going from strength to strength. Eleonora Herzberger was a star-struck 15-year-old when her father made these home movies of the famous Man Next Door.
It was a beautiful summer, but unfortunately the house was not on the lake. So, being friends with Kurt Gerron, I could go through his garden every day, 3 times a day, for a dip.
It was a magical time, and Gerron lived life to the full, perhaps a little too full. Although his figure was his fortune, there came a time when even he had more than enough to go round.
Everybody is earning money, everybody is eating too much, and the result is you had to get rid of that speck, that fat. And they go to a sanatorium like der Weiße Hirsch. It was very famous, very luxurious. One day, my father sees a man walking around with sausages. He gave him a tip and he said, "You see that big man there with the enormous belly? Go underneath his nose, up and down with the smell of these wonderful sausages." And Kurt Gerron got so wild and so angry that he grabbed at the sausages and ate them like that.
For Kurt Gerron, life was a whirlwind of activity. In 1927 alone, he was seen in 27 films. And though he rarely played lead roles, his performances were consistently acclaimed in reviews. His days were spent on movie sets, and it wasn't unusual for him to dash off to a theatre somewhere in the evening to appear in a serious play or a cabaret. That was when he came to play his most important role on the stage. Sitting in the audience was a reluctant teenager, Robbie Lance.
Who wanted to go and see some obscure show? Who knew? So my grandmother and I went and saw it, and it was maybe the most memorable single night in the theater because virtually every song was repeated.
Threepenny Opera was a sensation, and Gerron's unforgettable rendition of Mac the Knife became his signature tune. He claimed his place among Germany's showbiz elite.
It was so exciting to meet the actors who were playing in his film. Hans Albers with his beautiful blue eyes. Peter Lorre, he was shaved like a skinhead. To see Kurt Gerron being the big boss, you had the feeling he really is at the top of his career.
Why did you call me? Give me a minute to get on my look.
Call you what?
It was the film role of a lifetime.
Out of feet.
Hold up your pen.
The Blue Angel was hugely successful, rocketing its young leading lady, Marlene Dietrich, to instant stardom and securing Gerron's place in movie history. Unfortunately, Gerron was still playing the third lead.
You see, I have nothing concealed in my head.
And for a man of his enormous ego, it wasn't enough. Gerron needed to direct.